And all eyes are on Iran after the country's ultra-conservative leader, the president, killed in a helicopter crash in a foggy, mountainous area.
Just this morning, the bodies of Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi and the foreign minister were recovered. So joining us now to discuss the impacts of these deaths, still very early, of course, now, but an organizer with Chicago4Iran and former law student, now graduate, Sapida Saini, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So far on social media, some people have maybe seen Iranians celebrating the death. Can you please just tell us why we're seeing that?
Of course, I'm sure that, some people are confused of why we as Iranians are celebrating both inside and outside Iran. So Ebrahim Raisi was not actually the only official individual on that helicopter. There were others, including Abdullahian, who was also a foreign minister. He had actually traveled to the U.S. many times and attended UN committees. But regardless, I think it's important to emphasize that these individuals, especially Raisi, were not representatives of Iranians and Iranian people. They were the representative of the Islamic regime and Ali Khamenei. Raisi became a prosecutor at age 20 without any formal education. Or any education, really. He was known as the Butcher of Tehran for, being responsible for executing more than 5,000 political prisoners during the. Also, he was the Deputy Chief Justice during 8 and Bloody November in 2019. He was also the so-called president during the 2022 Women Life Freedom uprising. And, a lot of Iranians would have preferred to see Khamenei, Raisi, and, people like them behind bars and being prosecuted in international courts for their, the crimes against humanity that they have committed. But since that hasn't happened, we are celebrating his death as a little victory for justice.
Mm-hmm. Interestingly here, and there is such a hierarchy in Iran, and so much of what you're saying resonates throughout the world. But, the president is not the leader per se. The default leader is the Ayatollah, which is, a religious position. And he still says, there is control. It basically sounds like he's probably going to have the president replaced by one of his guys and one of his guys and his guys and his guys, which has happened throughout Iranian history. Is there a moment here where you could see things changing? Or also I could see you as this being a moment towards it returning to how it's been for the past several years?
The Islamic regime is currently, and honestly, they have been for the past few years, in a state of desperation. Mm-hmm. Since the killing of Mahsa Jina Amini in 2022 and the Women Life Freedom uprising, the Iranian people have been very clear on what they want. They want a revolution. They don't want Ali Khamenei. They don't want the Islamic regime in Iran. And they are determined. They have been very vocal that they're not backing down. And the Islamic regime knows that. Ali Khamenei being on top of, this pyramid, he knows that. Mm-hmm. No matter who replaces Raisi or if there is going to be any changes within the regime, because as you said, Ali Khamenei is the ultimate, holder of the power in the country. And anyone, does come in power, they're going to be really his puppets. The government officials, whether it's foreign minister or anyone else, they are really from Khamenei.
All right. We lost you a little bit there, but I think we understood where you're going with that. We ran out of time. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about this. We appreciate it. With Chicago4Iran, Sapida Saini, we appreciate you. You're an organizer for them. And I'm sure people can join you guys on maybe social media if they want to learn more.
Of course, yeah. They can follow us, Chicago4, number 4 Iran. We're on Instagram and on X.